Links in the description. If you do like the video, if you like the topic, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. This is kind of a bit of an update of a subject which I've not covered on this channel. It's in regards to Timothy Simpkins, 18 years of age. Let me remind you who Timothy Simpkins is. It's this guy here, right? And back in October, he was big news for a couple of days because he shot one of his classmates. And then after that, that same day, I believe, if I have that correct, he was granted bail. I think it was a $75,000 bond. He has a fairly wealthy family. A bondsman was able to pay at least part of that $75,000 bond. He was released that day or that evening, if I recall correctly. And it became a bit of a story because, you know, there he was, he shot one of his classmates. He literally shot one of his classmates, and then he got bailed that same day, that same evening. And then there were social media pictures of him partying with friends, you know, girls, you know, he had girls flaunting themselves over him. You know, isn't that nice for someone to go to school, shoot a classmate, get let off jail, get let out of jail with bail, and then have a party with you know, girls flaunting themselves at you? You know, I don't know, doesn't quite seem right to me. So that's what happened. And there's a development which we'll read through here. A Texas teenager who was released on bond the day after he was arrested for shooting 3 people at his high school has found himself back behind bars. Timothy Simpkins, 18 years of age, was arrested on Thursday after a court-ordered urinalysis returned a positive result for an illicit substance. It did not specify what type of illicit substance Simpkins allegedly used, but under the terms of his $25,000 bond, maybe that's a typo, it says $75,000 elsewhere in the article, but under the terms of his $25,000 bond, he was prohibited from using drugs and alcohol. The arrest came just 10 days after Simpkins sought to modify the term of his bond to allow him to go to church on Sundays. Like a good little boy, a judge has not yet ruled on the request. Simpkins was originally arrested back in October on 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in connection with a shooting at Mansfield Timberview High School in Arlington, Texas, that left one student critically injured. He was released the next day on bond and was seen later that afternoon celebrating with his family. So we're going to read through part of the article. Which again will just remind us about the first incident. Simpkins, who is 5'9" and weighs 135 pounds, opened fire in his classroom at Timberview High School on October the 6th, shortly after 9 a.m., after a fight with a fellow student, Zacchaeus Selby. A video of their fight was posted on social media by Simpkins' cousin on Wednesday night in an effort to prove that Simpkins was being bullied. It shows Simpkins, who was identified police as wearing a light-coloured hoodie, being pummeled by Selby, who is 3 years his junior, while holding his hands around his head. While teachers and coaches tried to restrain one of the boys, Simpkins went to his backpack, pulled out a .45 caliber handgun, and started to shoot Selby, who was critically injured. Simpkins also hit a teacher, Calvin Pettit, who tried to break up the fight, and a teenage girl who suffered a graze wound. A pregnant teacher was also injured when she tripped over in the ensuing chaos. A police report from the incident says a witness observed Simpkins shoot 7 to 8 times. So in essence, there was a fight between him and a 3-year-old junior, sorry, a fellow student that's 3 years younger than him, which may or may not be that relevant. A 15-year-old could be physically stronger than an 18-year-old. That's quite possible. But there was a fight, a fisticuffs, and as the fight was being stopped by at least one teacher, Simpkins pulled out his gun and shot 7 to 8 times, allegedly. Then Simpkins fled in a silver Dodge Charger before later turning himself into authorities. He was placed on a $75,000 bond, part of which was paid for by a bondsman, allowing Simpkins to return home under house arrest. Under the conditions of his house arrest, Simpkins was prohibited from using a gun and was required to stay 1,000 feet from the school. Selby, the boy that was shot, this boy here, I believe. Oh no, this is Selby. Zacchaeus Selby. Selby was released from hospital on October the 20th, having undergone several surgeries. So, condolences to the 15-year-old that was shot. He's had to have multiple surgeries. Thankfully, he's no longer considered in critical condition. The article goes on to tell us about Simpkins being bullied. So it says that he comes from a family with a nice home, he has nice clothes, he has a nice car, a Dodge Charger. He has a nice car, and with that, he suffered from bullying. And recently, he was robbed at gunpoint and stripped of his possessions a couple of weeks ago. So there is a backstory as to why he felt that he was being bullied, and he felt the need to stand up for himself. But, in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, pulling out a gun and shooting your classmate is not appropriate. Not appropriate. Well, I was in quite a few schoolyard scuffles for a while. I was in schoolyard scuffles on a daily basis. But I never pulled a gun on anyone. And I would never think of doing so, Look, this is a 15-year-old boy. Look, we see him here, Selby, the guy that was shot. He's a 15-year-old boy. It's not Hulk Hogan. He's not going to cause any serious harm. So even if you lose a fight, you just take it on the chin, quite literally. You don't pull out your gun and shoot the person. And what are the authorities doing, letting this guy go on a $25,000 bond or a $75,000 bond, whatever it is? Why have the authorities done that? They didn't do that for Kyle Rittenhouse. He was placed in jail and initially, I think he was released on bail eventually, but after some period of time and a much higher bond, much higher bail level than $25,000 or $75,000. How come this guy was able to get released the next day and go and have a nice party? It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. So look, I mean, this is this true crime channel of mine. I don't really want to swear, but I'm going to. Apologies. Fuck this guy. The guy's a punk. He's a punk. He's an asshole. Fuck this guy. Let's say he was bullied. Well, that's not good. And it also mentions that his father was beaten to death. That's not good. But you can't go around shooting classmates just over a bit of fisticuffs. We've got to have some. I spoke with a YouTube commentator about this earlier today, but we've got to have some mental fortitude that we're able to put up with a certain amount of bullying, not extensive bullying, but, we can't, as a society, we can't enable people to shoot each other merely due to some level of bullying. We've just got to deal with things a different way.